Alright, it is time. Welcome to Strategic Command, World War II, World at War, with our first ever PvP against SirTravis. We've gotten the turn back from him, and it's been a couple weeks in real life, so I don't really remember what was happening. Yes, he was trying to see if he could get Peru to surrender with some mechanic that I have never heard about. Doesn't seem like it succeeded for him, as he's moved away. Must be a lot of ships or naval things in the region moving, or just things in the background. In general, we got some movement of planes. He's trying to strat bomb Paris again. Yep, he took some unknown amount of damage and dealt 1 damage to the city, and then took 3 more damage to himself, and now he's going for another strategic bombing. This time he has escorts to assist him, and I have actual fighters in the area now. He took 3 damage to his fighters, I took 1 to mine. He took another 1 damage to his bombers, so this is a terrible bombing run for him. He only dealt 2 strength damage to 2 different towns, really, and then like 1 to my fighters is nothing. He's actually starting to pull back over here. Oh, that's really interesting. That's not good, honestly. He's reinforcing and getting things together over there by Stalingrad, and he had a cavalry over here on the border with Japan, and now he's kind of moved it away. Okay, so there's some developments here. Lots of raiding, lots of successful raiding here, including UK, USSR. Saudi Arabia moves 16% towards the Allies. Still attrition bombers on those maritime bombers in Iceland, so that's more damage he'll have to get rid of. And some Indian nonsense happening. Got an anti-tank over there. An American motor torpedo boat in the middle of what I assume is the Atlantic, might be the Pacific. Garrison near Mexico City. Enemy ships. Alright. Okay. Despite that he didn't really do much damage and all of his attacks were kind of failures, this was a bit of a concerning turn. So that motor torpedo boat hasn't moved. That's been there for a long time, actually. Unless he's been moving it around in like a patrol. I moved my subs away because I saw that was coming. As you know, we have our ships getting ready for an invasion of Australia. This thing is still so risky. I keep doubting it every time I think about it, but we have to act eventually, and I'm choosing to act before he has time to get prepared. So let's just take a quick glance over here where we can make sure to go ahead and, well, what is this upgrade? Anti-air defense. Not sure how necessary that really is. They can also get elite reinforcements. Also not really necessary on a rocket unit, I think. I am still waiting for the next rocket weapons upgrade to come in. See, that's another turn. That's probably like 1 more turn, and then that will be done. So I think I'll just put off upgrades for this turn and then just do the anti-air and the rockets all in one go. So there's a lot of things that need doing. Let's just start with the standard rocketing. Our standard targets here. There you go. Ooh, that dealt a lot more damage than I'm used to. That's strange. I wonder if the XP had something to do with that. I'm not sure. Over here, I'm really undecided what to do here. You know, we've only just started killing things in his blockade, so that's going to be a kind of a headache. Let's look over here for now, where I'm very happy we're making just so much progress, pushing through the Caucasus and taking all of his oil. For example, here's another 30 MPPs we could take away from him. And there you go, converted to 9 MPPs for us until the strength gets back up, and then we'll be getting a ton of MPPs from this as well. As mentioned before, there are lots and lots of garrisons here. I believe, I don't know, I believe I started naming some of these. Maybe not. I know I purchased a bunch, and now there's a bunch, look at this, that need to be deployed. Put one over on Warsaw. Let's put one over on Hamburg. They just have to operate anyway. Everything's too far. And put one over on, oh, geez, let's say Königsberg. Sure, why not? The Musashi battleship is also ready to go. I didn't know we were getting a Musashi battleship, but look, a Musashi battleship. Isn't that just incredible? Where do I put the Musashi battleship? Probably on one of these. Let's put it on Yokohama. The Musashi battleship. There you go. Japan has 494 MPPs this turn. I don't remember why it has so many. I do see a bunch of enemy ships trying to get in the way of our income from Burma. They're not trying, succeeding. Let's do a little bit of scouting here. All of this is clear. All of it. Beautiful. Let's go claim this. This is another Black Sea port for me and some more MPPs. 0.25 MPPs per total strength. We'll have some supply over here no matter what. We do have partisans to worry about. We'll send this anti-tank down to Tbilisi. That seems like a logical place to send it. Krasnodar needs to stay protected. This one will do. We'll force march this garrison up to here, and it will take care of that partisan point. We don't have everything required for, say, Baku, for example. So that's something we'll have to take care of still. But as of right now, most things we're encountering are pretty just wide in the open, so... Let's... do we have to go through here? No, we don't. But let's go ahead and just claim that like so. So Baku is ours. That's a 0.5 MPPs per strength point. So much money. So much stinking money. We'll send the cavalry down here to take a look. Remember, we can't go through here. Turkey's not in the war, and hell, they're leaning towards us a little bit. We'll send this cavalry forward a little bit more onto the front. The supply is, well, okay enough to not suffer attrition, I guess. At the very least, you know, that's something, I suppose. I don't think he'll get around us or anything, but I'll force march down this way. The HQ can't really force march, but it can go step on Grozny, which vastly improves the supply in this area for pretty much everybody. Coming down here is going to be like a practice of come down, claim Batumi, go back around, claim Lenin, can't say that, and then just kind of go from there while maintaining all the partisan points that we can. We really could use another garrison down here, definitely. When we take Tehran, it's marked as occupied, so we would be liberating Tehran for the Germans, which would be interesting because maybe we could purchase some local units to form a defense so the Romanians could head down into Iraq and towards this easier. All we really need is support from the German Air Force. That's it. If we could get down to Jerusalem, press up against Mount Sinai over here, and get some German air with an HQ, that's all we need, man. What's the path down there gonna look like, though? Because there's rails leading down into Tehran, barely, once we take this, and then, you know, build up supply, and then it'll come down here towards Abadan through Basra and end at Baghdad. So any HQ coming through here is gonna have to go basically right there. Without access to Turkey, there's not exactly an easier way. It's gonna have to be a German HQ to support those bombers as well. I think, I'm pretty sure. Because we're going to want some German air down here eventually to really handle this. The Italians are just going to be defending. They did much better than in history, so I'm proud of them. But something like Torch could be starting anytime soon. We're about in that era. We got a turn or two where we didn't have America enter the war, but that's about it. It's just about Torch time, so we got to be ready for Torch in Italy if he goes for it, but who knows what he's gonna go for. That's basically all these guys can do, though. Next turn, we'll have the ability to reinforce these two if we so choose. This one will keep moving. This is just a defense, so. Looking north a little bit, this anti-air is still a pain in the butt. We got a pretty good prepared attack with this army, not so much with this one because its supply is so low. 3 damage dealt, 1 taken. We were supposed to deal 4, take none, so that is honestly pretty terrible. That is pretty terrible. We can move the Hungarian HQ forward some more, which will vastly improve supply in the region, but it's still not perfect. Go ahead and attack it again, dealing no damage. That really didn't work out for us. We'll put back there a little, reinforcing. Ooh, not enough supply to reinforce fully, even though it was right next to the HQ. We'll reinforce this by 4 as much as we can. Get that as strong as possible, as soon as possible. We're not, like, desperately trying to break through Stalingrad or anything. That's not exactly the concern. But the more of his troops that get killed and the more MPPs that we take over, the better. I do think we are starting to drain the supply of Stalingrad, which is great. Now, one thing that's especially of interest to me is the fact that he pulled out of Viipuri. He took this, I think, at the start. Like, he pushed through it. He went on a pretty big offense. It has no supply on it at the moment. Our supply spread doesn't make it the best place to be, but I'd be silly to not move up and take it, even if it was some sort of feint where he pulls out and then attacks again or something, because we don't have any entrenchment back here. We have no entrenchment. Just going into the town is a huge defense bonus all by itself, no matter what we move up there. I am a little nervous to move the army proper, because this army is particularly entrenched, and I don't necessarily want to mess that up. But again, I'd be dumb to not move up in some capacity. The defense would be nice. And there might be MPPs attached to this town. We just haven't had it in so long, and it has no supply because we've been surrounding it the whole time. The reason why I feel like I need to push up as well is because if I don't, all these units could rush down here and start killing my cores as he goes on a bit of a counter-offensive. I gotta keep in mind that a counter-offensive is definitely possible, and I could easily operate, right? But this region right here is not exactly in supply to even allow operation. Only units from down here currently have supply in it because Moscow is freshly taken to get all the way up here to assist in defense up here, because I just have a couple of not even full strength cores here. It's problematic. So tell you what I'll do. We'll move forward to Viipuri with the Helsinki Corps. There you go. So we can see the Finn Commie Rebels army. Such a thing never would have existed. Don't be silly. And this is tough. He doesn't seem to have his planes in the area like at all anymore. I don't know if he's just pulled them back a little bit, because there is the ability to get some anti-air upgrades potentially here, but there's limitations that would make that maybe undesirable. I think what I'll do here is I'll swap the army in. So the army will be up front with all of its strength and whatnot. The Helsinki Corps will maintain the entrenchment of these fortifications for us. We will... this is tough. This is more anti-air, it is. Supply is not going to spread that amazingly in this direction. So the army isn't going to be able to do any upgrades, but, you know, of course, right? Of course, right? And the game wants to autosave. As if I don't already save all the time anyway. Thanks for that. We'll take the, I think, Suomi Corps here from the rear. We're going to force march that all the way up front here onto this forest. We see there's nothing. There is nothing on Joensuu. He's completely abandoned Joensuu. That is pretty big. That is pretty big. Supply over there isn't the greatest, mind you, but if he's moved back from Joensuu as well, that means he's either pulling back to move those units probably to the other capitals or for a counterattack, which means we need to be aggressive. It's unfortunate because it leaves us very open, but we do need to be aggressive, as it would happen, as it would seem. So we'll force march up to here, kind of taking more of a look around and getting, you know, just a core press forward. There you go. And then supply in the region. It's not a very good region for anybody, but we'll go ahead and move the arty forward to provide that kind of defensive coverage for the boys up front. We're not going on the offensive right now. Maybe he'll come back once he sees that I'm pushing forward. I don't really know. This is like the one Finn that really has the ability to go for anti-air and mobility if I want to. Also, I guess this one, maybe? No, I guess because he moved properly. So not this one. We can upgrade advanced fighters over here. We're going to do that. We should still have the range to reach out this far. Yeah. So keep these fighters nice and elite. I am not sure what to do with this core just yet. Mobility on it would be good. Anti-air would be good. It's not too much money, but I don't know. Germany does have some research that we might want to look into for sure. We'll get one research started, and that'll be the advanced tanks, maybe, I think. I mean, that's a pretty important thing. Fighters are, of course, also very important. Yeah, there's just so many options. ASW probably, again, less important for the Germans compared to everything else. Anti-air is important. It is important. This is actually a tough one. I'll go for the advanced tanks proper. Let's get that researching. That's just one. 502 MPPs remaining. I'm going to move this core forward as far as you can get up to the river here. There's good enough supply to be there. I just kind of want to do a little bit of recon right there to see what is waiting for me on the other side here, because we do have an opportunity to go for Kubyshev, which right now is the capital of the Soviet Union. Unfortunately, we have no bombers in the area to really go for it or anything. Don't know if he's operated anything here, because he still has the capacity to operate things around there. He has moved stuff, right? He hasn't operated necessarily. Right now, everything that needs to come through here is going to have to go through either Vologda or Galik. And then Gorky right now is not even defended anymore. There is maybe a chance we could cut him off using one of these. Is there anybody over there? There's not. All right. So if I just go take this like that, now his rail line capabilities from here to the east are cut. So that kind of forces him to either go for a counterattack, which I'm not really prepared for, but or to come back and fight the Finns again. Now that I've cut him off like that. This unit is kind of deep in there, so, you know, good luck to you, but I have so many upgrades that need doing, but I also have a need to be aggressive still. We ideally want to take Kubyshev before the winter of, you know, late 42, early 43. And then Perm is going to have to come after, definitely. So let's take this army here. And let's push up as far as we can get. With that blitz attack, we're not going to do anything with the amount of entrenchment this fucker here has, unfortunately. We can see things around him are pretty clear, so we could probably cut him off from behind using the recon. That is an option. That is within my capabilities. We could also move this corps forward. Now, I don't remember it being able to move so far. Maybe because we directly occupy it. Maybe there's some zone of control, finicky bullshit at work here. Supply in the region will support reinforcing that next turn, so that's not the biggest concern. Let's push the aggressiveness while it's still pretty advantageous to us and see about cutting him off from behind. We have a tank that could do the same thing. This tank could use some upgrades. Skipping over advanced tanks is something I really don't want to do. Anti-air, sure, right? Mobility, sure. Long-range aircraft, yeah. Advanced tanks and, like, infantry weapons are kind of important, though. It's hard to be aggressive when that's showing itself. So let's go around, cut. Oh, all right, he's got a lot of stuff back here. He's got a lot of stuff back here already at Ufa. He's got a defensive corps and other things. And this Africa recon is not in a very happy position. As a result, I'm going to move it down a little bit more, where it'll have a little bit better supply at the very least, and we're gonna have to take this into account as we push up, because Jesus Christ, that's a lot. I'm gonna move this corps forward. There's no one else really better for the job. To take Gorky. Gorky is kind of important. It's worth some NPPs. It's worth some supply. We can see where he's going with that anti-tank he ran away with. Right there is where he's going with it. Mainly just moving up to actually take Gorky proper. I don't necessarily care to hunt down an anti-tank. I mean, I could. Hell, we have a bomber in the region that can reach it. Only one. And it is injured. Now, we know we definitely do want to upgrade these tanks with advanced tanks. We'll give them anti-air at the same time. The mobility is not really necessary, and it is really expensive. But it would give them more action points with which to pull off more maneuvers. It's one of those things that would be handy eventually, but I'm not sure when eventually is. And the reason why I'm questioning it is because, as you know, we do have some other purchases that we really want to do with Germany, such as, for example, getting a Yugoslavian army prepped and ready for the defense of Italy, if we can get it early enough. And especially getting a couple of these longer term ship purchases going, like these carriers, which I don't know how necessary a carrier would really be for the invasion of the British Isles, which could be happening in 2 years. Thus, the purchases would need to be made pretty early. But we do need them eventually. And right now is a pretty decent time to get them, you know? With full upgrades available to me right now, that's 421. So that's a lot of money. If I just forego the upgrades until it pops out of the chute, then that could work out as well. It just wouldn't be ready quite as quickly, but I would only have to spend 315 right now. And the upgrades come like the same price anyway. They're the same price. You're just kind of giving up an extra turn for upgrading, which wouldn't really be the worst thing. We could only get 2 carriers in general, and at 315 with 502 remaining and the way the front line looks right now, this could work. I have a lot of movement I have to do before I can really start a full offensive in earnest on the remaining 2 capitals, and by the time that movement is done, we'll be getting into December. We'll have a front line pressed up against, like, towards Perm, or somewhere in between, around Kubyshev here. A lot of movement has to be done. So that's why I kind of want to do this sooner. I've already paid for 1 research this turn, and we have a lot of garrisons popped out. Could we use more? Certainly, but we have even more MPPs than ever before now with certain things that have joined us, and it's only going to get better once we take over Tehran and keep taking all these other towns for a little bit more MPPs. Germany's capabilities are going up, but these purchases do need to be made pretty far in advance, which is something of a little bit of concern to me. I think I will go ahead and just pay for everything that we can pay for right now, maybe. Oh god, I don't know. All right, no, we won't do that. Because again, if you just have the supply, then you can just pay for it later. It can come out cheaper with better techs, and there will be more techs by the time this thing pops out anyway. So the Deutschland, we will pay for that 315 right now. We can only afford the 1 this turn. I do eventually want to get the other. We'll need to upgrade all the ships eventually as well. We don't need a navy that will destroy the British Navy, mind you, because when we do go for the invasion of the British Isles, we'll have a lot of air support over here, and long-range aircraft technology will be much better by that point as well. We'll have the maritime bomber in place. The ships are going to just be part of the operation for securing a bridgehead for us to invade the British Isles. This is thinking way out, but when it takes 19 months for a single carrier to be deployed, you kind of have to think that far out. We have enough ships to actually keep the carriers protected as well. So I do think this is a good idea. I'm not sure when to pay for it. I'm less certain about this whole invasion of Australia, which I will voice repeatedly. We have 187 MPPs remaining. Okay, not bad. Then in that case, let's go for advanced tanks. And you know what? We can afford the mobility. Let's just get the mobility on right now as well. It is very expensive and potentially very wasteful. However, we're not doing a lot of other reinforcement. We're not really doing elite reinforcement. Upgrades are all just kind of like maybes right now. We have a lot of movement that we need to go ahead and do, and operating not necessarily in the budget. We don't want to force march all the way up to a front, for example. Well, you get near it, right? But not all the way up to it, for example. So the Africa Corps here, I'm going to move them past just to border Kazan over here, get by that anti-tank, put some sort of a little zone of control right there. That sounds pretty good, pretty nice to me. We're going to move Von Bach as far forward as he can get with his mobility right off the bat here. Supply is not too reliant on all of this to begin with. If I move Von Lieb, it will become more noticeable, but eventually we want to have 1 by Penza, 1 on Ulanivosk or whatever. I am a little worried about this recon, which is pretty far up there now. I didn't expect them to have so many units by the Urals, maybe by Perm, but not just behind the capital like this. So this recon might get a little bit fucked up. We do have a core that I could divert over there to try to kind of make more of a line. If he does attack this and this retreats, it's not too big of a deal. The recon is not the most expensive unit, nor is a recon. Where do I have recon units? I don't think I'm actually allowed to make any more recon units at all. Oh, that's interesting. So this is my only recon unit. But the point is, recon units are not that impressive. They're not that important. But I just wanted to surround this more properly. It might convince him to push up, so we need to be as ready as possible for that without having any glaring weaknesses showing. So I can either go with a show of strength and start to surround Kubyshev from the east side, maybe inviting him to push forward and attack me, which with my upgrades doesn't have to be the most problematic thing. Or I could make kind of a half show of force and just show strength on one side over by Orenburg, for example, by moving up a single corps. Because I don't think we're going to be doing a whole lot here, not with this anti-air here, not with the tanks kind of incapable of pressing any advantage too easily. We can definitely deal some damage. Hell, our bombers are so good and his anti-air is so not good that we could flat out just bomb his anti-air directly to make it, to stop it from being a threat. I mean, that's so funny. It would be more effective than actually bombarding this Red Banner army here, which I find hysterical. Well, you know what? Oh, maybe let's try it then. Let's see how that goes. Defensive AA fire, as expected. But he didn't deal anything. No, he did end up dealing 1, but I dealt 4 damage. We could wipe this out with air at this point. It is so weak. I'm using the ones that don't have elite reinforcements to do this nonsense. Let's go ahead and wipe that out from the air. Shattered. There you go. 3 damage dealt, no more received. Ha! That's pretty funny, man. That is pretty funny. We'll run the other bombers on the enemy Red Banner army. Not dealing any damage at all. But, you know, one downside about bombing units like that is that I don't think you get, like, a morale bonus for actually getting it done like that for whatever reason. But, we're gonna move. I want to move these bombers a little bit. They need to keep shifting eastward. Stalingrad's a very temporary thing, especially now that his anti-air defenses are kind of gone. Stalingrad's a very temporary thing. We do need to stay in supply. So let's move you up to right about there. Here, I'd say we can move to here. I don't want to get too close to the border here so he doesn't, like, see. At least not with everything. Let's move you there. You know, that's fine. And you go there. They slightly move eastwards down the road. And ideally, we'll want to move fighters. I haven't really gotten to upgrade this one, and nor can we afford it now that I bought a carrier and put mobility on these 2 tanks. But it is a move that I think will pay off in the long run eventually. I want to make the illusion of a bigger push. So we will push the 14th Army down towards the Volga, or along it, I suppose, as we push towards Kazan. Kazan's not that important, but if I can scare that anti-tank away, that's really only a good thing. I will force march to the 10th Army down over here. Again, we're trying to make a show of force here. So he's aware that we're here and potentially gets scared by that. I am afraid to move the HQ too far forward. This is a core. If he doesn't have mobility, that's 4 AP. 1, 2, 3, 4 would allow him to attack an HQ right there without something else in front of it. So that does concern me a little bit. I will otherwise... Ooh, this guy has a tough choice to make. Either go down here where you'll have no supply, or... Actually, it's not too bad now that we have another HQ right here. Okay, fuck it then. Force march your way down here. That really hurts the readiness and morale, but it's okay. Make that show of force as we get other units moving. I know I want this anti-tank on Ryazan to take care of that partisan point. Here, let's take this unit, 2nd Corps. We're going to move it up northeast to right about here, as far as it can get. We can see he has another corps over here. He's got a lot of corps over here. I'm not too concerned about him moving up and attacking the plains. We have a tank for zone of control and a corps for zone of control as well. But I feel we need to make at least like a half show of force over here on the southern side so that he doesn't feel free to just move up and go on some vast attack. The Uralsk is actually undefended now. That is not what I expected. All right, well, in that case, I'm going to do something a little risky here. We're going to take the... Oh, let's say this core right here. We're going to move it right here. Like we're forming a line. We're going to make him think we're forming a line using these 2 cores. This tank is still here to respond to anything. I don't think he'll move away from his defense to go try to cross a river. I don't even think he'll have the AP to do that anyway. The river will impede him, as will 2 hexes of zone of control anyway. But forming a line will make him less likely to press up against us. He won't think it's a detached thing. He'll think it is a line. There is still more to do with Germany, but we are out of time for this episode, so I'm going to have to call this one here. This is shaping up to be pretty exciting. We're rushing up to Kubyshev. The next winter is approaching. Operation Torch, or whatever he does, is looming, and my preparations for the eventual potential Battle of Britain, or potentially, I don't know what else the carrier could be used for, is starting. It's all starting. So for now, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you On the next one.